Greetings, everyone. I am excited to have Arjun, co-founder and CEO at Solid, on the show today. Arjun, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Delighted to be here and share our story.
Great. Appreciate your time, and we'll get into your big Series B raise. But first, tell us a little bit about your SaaS background.
Yeah, my background has been SaaS and technology companies over the last 15 years in fintech, security, IoT, and now back doing fintech. Clearly, that's something I enjoy, and now it's cool.
That's great. Yeah, so 15 years, so pretty long run in SaaS. And then tell us a little bit about Solid. What does Solid do?
Yeah, so what Solid does is offers modern fintech infrastructure as a service. I like that this podcast is SaaS focused, which is what we do as a service. We offer infrastructure, which basically means that any company can become a fintech company very quickly by building on Solid. Think of Solid as an AWS for fintech, and the offering is really built around a SaaS offering where you sign up for the platform, you get the products and services you need, and become a fintech company.
Yeah, interesting. And when I was just at SaaStr, it seemed like a lot of fintech exhibitors there. But can you give us, say a basic use case of a customer signing up, and what are they doing? What's a typical use case?
Yeah, typical use case is a vertical SaaS company that's offering, for example, a business management software for their users to run their business. And now you've got payments being accepted, payments being made, different buyers, sellers in the system. So what really happens is these companies face challenges around money moving, there's a lot of impedance, and by offering fintech products and solving for these challenges, they're able to really drive the not just the experience, but drive revenue, adoption. And the beauty is the company has no or little regulatory overhead, which means that as long as they follow Solid's guidelines, stay compliant with us, they can launch fintech products like banking, payments, card issuance, and now crypto products very quickly. So yeah, we see a lot of interesting use cases in vertical SaaS, but now they're offering fintech products, and that's Solid enabled.
Yeah, really interesting. So say you said vertical SaaS, say offering some sort of business management solution. Would you see a lot in these niches? Say like, I don't know, say a chiropractor and like a system to manage chiropractic businesses. And then those businesses want to facilitate payments, transfer of money, for example. So this would help integrate into their offering to help facilitate, say payment exchange.
Right, exactly. So what happens is in these ecosystems, and traditionally the way banking and payments they are built is that you had to go to banks or standalone offerings which are outside your ecosystem. And now that's changing. What's the shift we see is now you've got brands or these software companies owning the complete experience, and by offering banking and payments and really solving for their needs inside their software, they're able to make their offering a lot stickier. They're able to drive revenue and really solve for the basic needs and giving their end user or the chiropractor, in your example, one less reason to go elsewhere.
Okay. Yeah, really interesting, because you see now tons of these platforms that are for focusing on those specific niches, like you said, like a great example, business management, and then, payments a huge part of that. So really interesting.
Yeah.
So what year did you found Solid, and are there, and it sounds like there are co-founders with Solid?
Yeah, so I founded Solid early 2019. I'd started to put in some work in 2018 and spent a lot of time doing research in terms of what the landscape looks like. And I found something very interesting, which was every company wanted to be a fintech company, but couldn't really figure out how. And those who had figured out were sort of building their own infrastructure. And that's where I saw the opportunity, and very fortunate to be backed by some awesome angel investors from day one, which really meant that we had a full stack team and we were able to get going early 2019. And when I say full stack, we had people product background, technical, design, and I think that's really important to have a well-rounded team right from day one. And in most cases, you sort of build that from your own network, which is what I did.
Okay, great. So work started 2018, founded say 2019. And then where are you located? And then are you distributed? Are you fully remote, different geographies?
Yeah, so we are located in San Mateo in California. And few of our early team members were also based out of here. So we started out working in person, and then COVID happened. We kept building the team, building the company. And the way we really set things up, it was sort of built for the remote world, but we do make the efforts to meet as often as we can in person, have a lot of workshop ideation sessions, and then everyone goes back to working from wherever they are, which meant that we could expand to other parts of the US, and now we've got a team in India too.
Okay. And then what is your current team size, say employees and contractors?
Yeah, it's all mostly employees for
Okay.
compliance reasons, for diligence. We've got full-time employees, about 75 now, and we should end the year with about 100 full-time employees across US and India.
Okay, so about 75 now, but you're saying end the year, you're forecasting about 100 FTEs.
100, yeah. We've got a dozen in the pipeline, and as you can imagine, there are areas where we're actively recruiting, mostly around customer success and really the capture value side.
And I'm curious, how is the recruiting going now? Say prior to the SaaS crash and the current market conditions, right, super competitive, right? We're the war for talent, but is that changing right now? Are you seeing anything different, or is it still very difficult?
Yeah, I think a couple of things, right? One is as you raise rounds and get the brand out and really help people understand what we're doing and create that awareness, you start to see better high quality candidates coming through the pipeline. I mean, a lot of intent in terms of, hey, I want to work for a company that solves this problem. So I think that's happened for us just in terms of timing. In terms of just what we are seeing, definitely a lot more applications coming through the pipeline. And of course, these are tough times, and unfortunately, some companies had to lay off some of their team members. So we're beneficiaries of that. And yeah, looking forward to finding them a new home, new exciting opportunity. And it's been amazing just what we are seeing coming through, both from an inbound perspective, and we've got some team members reaching out to some ideal client profile. Sorry, prospective employee profile.
Yeah.
As you can see, I'm selling all the time.
Right. Always
client profiles, ICPs.
Yep. CEO is always selling the company. So I'm curious, with 75 employees, right? With SaaS companies, right? It's about people. You look at a SaaS P&L, people investment. So what does your HR team look like? Is it outsourced? Do you have a couple folks in human resources, people function at your size?
Yeah. We've got a chief of staff who's driving a lot of the recruitment, so really managing that funnel. We've hired a couple of recruiters, contracted with a couple of them, and really trying to build a very healthy pipeline with the right set of candidates. And the way we look at recruiting is very similar to the way we look at sales. What you put on top of the funnel, how you engage with them, is what you see coming through the funnel, right? And how you close them. Run a really tight process. A lot of it happens in-house. Obviously, all the interviewing is in-house, and our goal is inside in a week decide if you want to make an offer, move forward, and let the prospective employee know that this is not a good fit either way.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And then any general revenue size that you can provide, or anything you can share there?
Yeah. So we hit the 10 million annual revenue mark earlier this year, and that happened pretty quickly. The 0 to 1 took some time as we were sort of fine-tuning our product and really trying to find that product market fit. But the 1 to 10 literally happened in 6 months, and we are in the low teens now, and really focused on diversifying the revenue and really ensuring that it's high quality. It's really hitting our customer success goals, because there's a clear correlation, as you know, between customer success, revenue, And yeah, something that we take a lot of pride in, just in terms of making other companies successful on our platform infrastructure.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congrats. So, right, 10 million earlier this year, 0 to 1, which you hear takes a bit of time as you find product market fit, but 1 to 10 million, 6 months, which is pretty amazing. So that's awesome. And your price point, like your revenue streams, is it contracted MRR, ARR? Is it any sort of variable component, or these, low ACV, high ACV for your customer base?
Yeah, so we've got a interesting sort of combination of SaaS revenue and transactional revenue. And really the SaaS piece is contracted. It starts at 10,000 a month. Think of that as the platform fee to get access to a platform. And then obviously there's transactional revenue as you're using the platform, very similar to, let's say, an AWS with meter. And then of course there's a sort of revenue component to it with the yield on the deposits, the interchange you earn as a program. Yeah, so it's a great mix of SaaS, which is 10 in some cases, 20, 25 a month, and that's obviously highly predictable, and then that gets combined with the transactional revenue. And the reason why we set up a model where we've got sort of the best of both is really bring high intent companies that really want to launch their fintech offering to their users, and having a SaaS offering ensures that we are providing the best quality service and really alongside them their fintech journey.
Okay, so interesting. So you have that platform fee, which is kind of that contracted MRR, ARR, plus then those transaction fees on top of that. So
That's right.
yeah, interesting. And with 10 million ARR, are we talking kind of hundreds of customers now, thousands of customers?
Yeah, 108 as of today. And
okay.
Yeah, it's a mix of as you imagine with an infrastructure provider, a mix of some very bright, promising early stage companies, some mid-market growth stage companies, and some established one. And we are seeing a lot more of established companies coming through the pipeline.
Okay, yeah, that's great. So about 108 customers, seeing early stage, mid, and now some established companies coming onto the platform. And so you've recently raised a Series B, which we'll get to. But how much capital have you raised to date now?
We've raised so very early in our journey. We raised seed round, which was led by Base 10 Ventures, and a Series A about 8 months after that, which was led by Line Ventures, and in total we've raised 81 million.
Okay, 81 million raised to date, and then you just recently raised a Series B of, let me go back in my notes, 63 million. A nice amount. So tell us what. It's always interesting when I work with founders, like, thinking about the timing, like what's that good timing? It could be right cash runway pushing us to raise, but any triggers or milestones where you said, hey, we're ready for this larger raise to go for a Series B at 63 million. How did you look at that?
Yeah, so going back to my earlier point, just finding that product market fit and those unit cases and really seeing those unit cases taking off gave us a lot of confidence. Along the way, we hit the 10 million revenue mark. We got to profitability, which is rare these days, and really happy with the progress we had made. And as I mentioned, we started to see mid-market, up-market deals, really established companies trying to think about fintech. And really the question we asked ourselves is, hey, all the learning from 1 to 10, it's happened quickly. What can we do to go from 10 to 100? And what are the pieces we need to put together now for that to happen? And yeah, we started thinking about fundraising. Having a strong balance sheet helps, especially as you're going market. And yeah, super excited to really deploy the capital into vertical software, into SaaS software that we know are fintech hungry. And yeah, this gives us an opportunity to get there.
Oh, really interesting. Yeah, I love that. So found that product market fit, right? You scaled fast to 1 to 10, so there must be some fit there. And then great. So you got to profitability by 10 million, and then seeing some indicators with established companies starting trusting your platform, signing up as well. Yeah, great stuff there. I live and breathe SaaS metrics. So any SaaS metric, any other KPIs metrics that you looked at that helped you inform your decision on, all right, it's really time to, add fuel to the fire and raise a big round?
Yeah, I think two metrics we look at just very, very closely, right? In terms of just quarter-over-quarter signings, I think that's really important, right? And what percentage of them are launching and scaling quickly on your platform, and how can we accelerate that process, right? Just what we were seeing across the board was just our time to sign, right? Just as prospects go into the funnel, into the pipeline was getting a lot faster, and we were really focused on a buyer's experience. So that was one, and that's something we very, very closely sort of track from the time they get into the funnel till they go through the middle of the funnel and when they sign. And then the other one was around the day they sign to the day they sort of build, launch, and scale, right? Tracking that journey very, very closely. Because the thought process really is that if we can do a lot more and make more companies successful on our platform quickly, it really allows us to go into more verticals in a given quarter, right?
Yeah. No, interesting. Let me just recap. Really important. So you saw other indicators, metrics to inform you of a raise coming up, quarter-over-quarter signings. We talk about like velocity and that growth, and then what percentage of them are actually signing, but then they've got to actually use your product, and so that build, launch, scale, and then sounds like your average sales cycle decreasing as well. So that time to sign decreasing. So you had a repeatable sales process then in place.
That's right. Yeah. So that's something we track closely, because end of the day, it's about attracting the right kind of customer, and being an infrastructure provider, they are successful. Under the hood, it also hits our success metrics. So along the way, we've really, really fine-tuned on this piece: is who's the ideal client profile, who should we sell to, who should be on board, and really track those metrics closely.
Yeah, that's great. Great tips there. And then one final thing on fundraising. So the founders, for the management teams listening, any other fundraising lessons that you'd like to pass along to the audience as far as tips and tricks that you've learned, or you're like, boy, I wish I knew that, or that was super painful in that process? Anything you'd like to share there?
Yeah, plenty of fundraising tips and just learnings along the way. But one thing I saw across all the 3 rounds we've done is really find investors that understand what you're doing and understand it as well as you do, right? I think that's important. You need to be on the same page, and I think that's a function of time. You've got to spend time with them, really understand what they've built their conviction around. They understand what you're doing, and I think that eventually leads to the partnership where they invest in the company. It's extremely rare, I think, for an investor to back a company without really understanding what they do. So yeah, I wouldn't really call it advice, but at least the way I looked at it is, hey, let's spend some time with the investor, understand what they're looking to do. And every fund, has worked in different areas, and it's important to really spend the time with the one that understands what you do, right? So I found that very helpful. You build a relationship with them, and your visions align along the way, and you'll see with every meeting it's getting better and better. And in most cases, that leads to a term sheet and then eventually an investment.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's going to be a recurring theme. My last podcast interview with a founder in France, same thing. Market, investors who understand your market, understand their niche, especially he was no code SaaS, built a community first and then monetize later. A lot different, right? So you probably need investors who understand that niche, just like your niche. So yeah, really interesting. Yeah, great tip there. So let's wrap up here. So what's next for Solid? What's coming up? What gets you excited?
Yeah, it's you keep hearing about every company is going to be a fintech company. Fintech is not even 1% done. we believe in that, and we literally see it every day, sitting in all the, literally in the front line of all the innovation happening. We've got the front row seats.
Mhm.
We think there are a lot of different interesting verticals, use cases that fintech will solve for, and we want to provide the best-in-class ingredients for any company to put together their recipe using our ingredients and serve their fintech dish. And yeah, so really, what's next is going and finding the fintech hungry verticals, some interesting problems that we can solve, and yeah, really sort of doing that first in the US market and eventually look to expand to other geographies.
Okay. And actually, since you mentioned that, so is it mainly US focused and then look
It is, yeah.
go expand internationally?
Yeah. As you know, with financial services, every company is, has their own set of regulators and compliance frameworks. And we've got a pretty deep understanding of how it works in the US. A lot of the technology can be reused in other geographies, but it's not easy as taking just pure SaaS product to any geography, right?
Yeah,
So we
yeah.
focused on the US market, and plenty of wood to chop here.
Yeah, that's great, right? You think about the regulations, the industries, who you have to report to, the compliance. So yeah, great point.
Yeah.
So love it, Arjun. Appreciate the story. I mean, amazing journey so far, and wish you continued success. And if our listeners would like to learn more about you or your company, where should we point them to?
Yeah, our website, solidfi.com. It's just one word, solid fi. And yeah, if you're thinking about a fintech, if you're thinking about starting a new company, or you're an existing company that's starting to think about issuing bank accounts and cards and crypto wallets, and really sort of launching these initiatives, come to our website, see a demo, and get up and running with our sandbox, and build your fintech.
Appreciate it. So Arjun, thanks for sharing your story, and great success so far, and wish you all the best with that success in the future.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Ben. Really enjoyed the conversation. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.